Hello and welcome back. Eurovision 2025 is officially over. I'm not gonna cry, but I feel like PED is gonna sink in very soon. If you don't know, PED is post-Eurovision depression, and I feel it's starting to come. Now, how do we prevent PED? The only way to prevent PED is to continue talking about Eurovision 2025. So that's what we're gonna do in this video. There's gonna be a lot of videos dissecting this competition and everything around it. And so I figured it would be a good opportunity to talk about something that I find to be really fun to talk about, which is the biggest crimes and robberies in this year's contest. Now, just a quick note before we dive in. Now, I've noticed my last couple of videos where I shared my subjective opinions about this year's competition have really stirred some controversy in the comments section, and I just want to say, if you are offended by my opinions about this music competition, maybe you just need to take a step back, because it's an art form. It's subjective. It's not that serious. I can promise you that. No one's life is at stake. Everything is going to be fine. If I don't like your favorite country or the country that you are from, I think we will survive this. I think we should. It doesn't mean I hate your country. It doesn't mean I hate your people. It doesn't mean I'm racist if I dislike your song at the Eurovision Song Contest. And I just want that to be remembered. I'm not that kind of creator who gets on here and pretends like
every song was incredible and they all deserve participation awards and they're all so special and beautiful and they all make me feel like I'm just such a proud parent and they're my children.
No, that's not who I am. I'm not looking to get likes from everyone and follows from everyone by making them happy. The point of this channel is to give my opinions, and so I will continue to do so, whether or not it is very upsetting for some people or if it makes them happy. This is what I love to do. I love to talk about music and my opinions, and I'm always so happy to hear about yours, but just want it to be remembered that this is just my own subjective thoughts. And let's be real also, I know what country you guys are from. So when I criticize Greece and then I see people in the comment section and your last name ends with KIS and you're saying,
"You are so wrong, Greece was amazing."
Of course you think that, because your last name ends with KIS and you are from Greece likely, or have Greek descent. Same thing with Poland. I know your last names end in SKI or SKA, and so I see your bias when you're upset whenever I say something negative about Poland, which is rare this year because I really like Poland. Same thing with Israel. When your last names are Cohen or Levi, I know that you are upset with me when I criticize one element about the Israeli staging or their vocal or this. When you are mad at me, I know it's because you're Israeli. So I'm not deceived. That is your bias. That's not my problem. Before we get into it, make sure to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like this video, comment your thoughts on all the robberies and crimes that took place in your opinion at Eurovision this year, and let's get right into it. So let's start with semifinal one. Obviously, in this semifinal, we're just going to purely talk about the televote because that's all we get, because they made a stupid decision to abandon the juries. For me, the first crime is that Belgium came second to last. It's one thing that they didn't qualify, but to come second last, was it his best vocal ever? No. Did I see it better in rehearsals? Absolutely. However, this performance had tremendous merit. It was a solid, unique stage performance. I mean, you saw multiple different clones of Red Sebastian. It was visually arresting in that respect. It really, I thought, was going to get people's attention and be memorable at the end of the day. Even though his vocals were a little shaky in the verses because they do sit a little bit low in his vocal register, at the very end, he ascends into the stratosphere. The vocals were so on point, and I thought it was just such a climactic moment of the semifinal. The one thing that I would criticize most about this performance that really irked me was the fact that the song is called Strobe Lights. Why am I seeing more strobe lights from Finland? They're red strobes. Armenia, they're black and white strobes. Austria, black and white strobes. And Belgium did not have as many strobes, and the song is called freaking Strobe Lights. Before this competition, I said I want to see so many strobe lights that I am blinded, that I have seizures. Not actually, obviously, but like, you get the point. The other thing that I think is like less of a major robbery, but still like somewhat, is the fact that Cyprus didn't qualify either. Although they did come in 11th, and that's worth noting. However, I do think they deserve to qualify. They were so close, 2 points off. Cyprus, I think they had a decent song. The vocals, similar to, I guess, Belgium, like they weren't up to par. They weren't exactly where they should have been, but I will say that stage performance was absolutely epic. It was a top 3 of this semifinal. Christian Bjorkman, the contest producer, said there was one country that had the most epic staging, and it was something that we've never seen before, and it was so unique. And I agree that it was super unique. And then when I saw it fully, I was a little disappointed because the expectations were so high, but at the end of the day, I could still appreciate it. It was leaps and bounds ahead of most other countries in this semifinal from a staging perspective. Statistically, Cyprus was actually at the biggest disadvantage when it comes to having the most amount of friends in this competition. And by friends, I mean that countries that have historically voted for Cyprus in previous editions of the contest. No Greece, no Israel, no Armenia, no UK, no Malta. And those are Cyprus size? I think it's Cyprus's. Those are the biggest friends of Cyprus in this competition. My English. Now, from my own tastes and musical preferences, I do think it is a little bit of a crime that Ukraine did so well in this semifinal coming in first. And let's be real, no one expected that. And I think just generally looking at the fact that Ukraine came in first in this semifinal, Israel came in first in the second semifinal, Eurovision is kind of running into an issue with the last couple of years and these specific countries doing exceptionally well in the televote. And I do have an explanation for this, but I am so bad at talking about the explanation for why these countries do well that I'm gonna actually read off of something that I wrote down. I feel like I'm presenting like a presentation with this, but it's so hard to like say it off the cuff. So here we go. In a semifinal with 15 or 16 songs, the average entry should get around 5 to 7% of the total televote. That's just 1 divided by 15 or 16 multiplied by 100. But if even 10% of viewers feel strongly supportive of a certain country due to its crisis that they are involved in and vote out of solidarity, that entry is already getting nearly double the average share of votes before the music is even factored in. That doesn't even include people who vote for the song because they like it, which boosts the total even more. So Eurovision runs into a fairness dilemma. Countries involved in a conflict or crises are likely to receive an outsized share of the vote due to emotional or political support, giving them a structural advantage that other entries don't have, no matter how strong their song is. In Semi 1, Ukraine doing as well as they did and coming first was very unexpected. No betting sites predicted that, and as a result, I think it's a little bit of a crime for them to do that well. I would have liked to see them qualify, but first place is whoa. Now let's talk about semifinal 2. I'll say this is like on the cusp of being a robbery, but it's really not. I mean, listen, I wanted Czechia to qualify, but I can't be that mad in retrospect that they didn't, because all of the ones that did qualify for the semifinal 2, like I wouldn't replace Czechia with any of them. I'm pretty happy about all of them. Sure, Malta wasn't super high up there for me in this semifinal, and Greece wasn't super high up there for me in the semifinal, but like it would have been fine either way. I can't say that that's like a big crime, although I know that a lot of the other people in the Eurovision fandom community are definitely claiming that to be a robbery. And then Israel, we already got into. Once again, it's not that I hated the song, I liked the song. It's the fact that it came in first and by an absolute landslide. I think there was 228 maximum points available for them to get, and they got, I believe, like 203. I think that's unlike anything we've ever seen. I know a lot of people right now are making allegations that they make every single year. Oh, this country bought votes, that country bought votes, Israel this year bought votes. I'm not gonna come on here and say that that's true, because there's just allegations right now, and I'm going to make a video on Israel and their participation in this competition and just their involvement also in this year's edition of the competition as well soon. But those are just allegations right now. I can't comment on anything when things are just people saying things online without any objective proof. And as I explained too with that mathematical explanation, like it makes sense why Israel and Ukraine would do well. Politics, crises, whatever you want to call it, it is a very motivating and incentivizing factor to get people out to vote for certain countries. Now let's talk about the final. So the first crime that has to be spoken about is the fact that we are getting, I think, the largest discrepancy in terms of rankings from jury result to televote result with Switzerland. Switzerland came second in the jury. They did better than I think anyone predicted, but they came dead last in the televote with 0. And this is why I agree most of the time more with juries than I do with televote. This to me was insane. Listen, you don't have to like the song, but that stage performance was unique, unlike anything we've seen before. It was cinematic history at the Eurovision Song Contest. But I mean, it's not a major surprise at the end of the day, because the host country pretty much always flops at Eurovision unless we're talking about Italy or Ukraine. The other nul point that I'm surprised about as well is the United Kingdom. Now, was I expecting the United Kingdom to do very, very well in this competition? No, but I'm not crazy. 0 points for those girls. I mean, it's really surprising. Their vocals were insane. Their harmonies were absolutely beautiful. I thought the stage performance was also really creative. It was a little bit musical theater, but like 0 points, it is so shocking. Next up is France, with big discrepancy between jury and televote. In the jury, France did very well, coming in third. In the televote, France came 14th. Generally, I would say I'm not horrible when it comes to predicting the outcomes at Eurovision. I've gotten the Eurovision winner right for now 6 years in a row. I'm very proud about that. However, I did not see France doing that bad in the televote. It was super late in the running order. The staging was bold, it was expensive, it was ambitious. Throughout the whole performance, she was visibly emotional, and when she finished too, you felt it in her voice, you saw it in her face. She was like about to burst into tears. It's like a tribute to her mom. It's dedicated to her mom who had passed away. I would have thought that like the mothers of Europe would have like rallied behind this and been like, oh my god, I'm touched, I'm a mother, I have a daughter myself. This was a song that I thought was appealing to the masses, but I guess not. I'll say say that I'm also a little bit sad about it too, because France has been hungrier than any other country in the competition when it comes to like really trying super hard with stagings and vocals and finding the best singers in the country. And yes, they've done well. Celine did exceptional last year, and Voila did well and all that stuff. But I do think this one deserved a little bit better, and I was not even a big supporter of it like a month ago. I was like, this is gonna do so bad. I mean, the sand, I was gobsmacked by that stage performance. She was pretty surprised by that televote result too. When those numbers came in, she was like, what? And so was I. One thing that I'll say in this video that's not, I wouldn't say it's a crime, but it's definitely still a shock, is the fact that the Netherlands didn't do nearly as well as anyone predicted, including the odds websites. Yes, the vocals were undeniably off at certain moments, even in the jury rehearsal and in the live show that we saw too. It was never perfect, but I thought it was pretty close to getting there. It's really shocking to see the Netherlands come 15th in the televote when it was literally 4th, 6th in the odds. And then to see countries like Lithuania, Germany, Italy, Greece, Poland, Ukraine all do better. I mean, with some of those, I'm happy that that happened. With others, I'm really surprised. And I think just generally no one predicted any of those countries to do better than the Netherlands, at least the betting websites. And me, personally, the biggest crime of the whole competition, it makes me ill, is the fact that Celine Dion was not there. I am a Canadian boy. I'm so depressed even talking about this. I'm like, I'm a Canadian boy. Like, I am so sad about this. Growing up, she was literally everything to me. She still is, but she was everything that I listened to. Car rides home, car rides to school, car rides to soccer practice. I was shit at soccer. Car rides to singing lessons. And she was like my inspiration too. Like vocally, she's just a fucking the best. And yeah, she won for Switzerland in 1998. And I understand, yeah, of course she is not feeling well, and it's totally understandable if maybe that's the reason why she wasn't there. But the BBC had some report where they got my hopes up and everyone else's freaking hopes up, because they were like, Celine Dion, she has arrived. She's in Basel. Her private jet has arrived. I was like, oh my fucking God. This is going to be, I'm going to bawl like a bitch. I had a Eurovision party. I was like, I'm going to cry in front of everyone. It's fine. I don't care. I don't give a shit. It's going to be the most special moment of my life. And then she wasn't there, and I still wanted to cry. So yeah, the BBC, jail, prison. And finally, the biggest crime of Eurovision 2025, in my opinion, is the fact that the betting odds were so wrong. I was so confused because I felt in my bones that Sweden could not win. And not that I didn't like the song. I thought the song was perfectly fine. It was perfectly acceptable. At the very end of the grand final, the last moments before people could place bets for who they think was going to win, Sweden had a 50% chance of winning the competition. They were number one in the odds. It made no sense to me. There were so many songs in this competition this year that were appealing to the juries, and Sweden was definitely not one of them. So, you know, for the jury vote, how could Sweden even crack the top 5? You know, you have Austria, you have France, you have Finland even to a certain degree, you have the Netherlands, you have Switzerland, Albania. There were a lot of countries competing for that jury win or top 5 or whatever it may be. And so I thought, how can Sweden win when they're not going to do that well in the jury because there's just so many jury bait entries? I thought they were going to do very well in the televote. Honestly, I really thought that they could come first or second or whatever. If that would have been the case, let's say hypothetically they did come in first and they came in first by a good amount. They didn't do that well with the jury. So I was like, how is this going to work out? They can't do well with the juries and they're still somehow going to win. But the betting odds was confident. They said Sweden was going to win. Austria was in second place. They came in first. Sweden came in 4th overall. France was 3rd in the odds. They came 7th. At the very end of the competition, Finland was 4th. They came 11th. Also, the Netherlands was very off. They were 6th in the betting odds and they ended up coming in 12th. And then one of the biggest discrepancies was Malta, which was 10th in the odds, and they came 17th. So yeah, the betting odds was all over the place. They weren't right about pretty much anything. And that's a crime because, I mean, listen, I didn't bet this year because I bet in every single year because I've been confident. Sometimes I agree with the odds and I'll like, you know, I'll place my bets on this and that. This year I was like, this is too all over the place. I feel not confident because I am at odds with the odds. I can't place a bet. I believe around every single year there's around 150 million that's put towards these betting websites for the competition. I feel like it's a crime for a lot of these people because they probably bet looking at the odds and going, okay, Sweden's first, I'll bet for Sweden to win. Okay, this country is going to do best in the Nordics, I'll bet for this country to do best. And a lot of that didn't end up coming true because the betting websites were just so So yeah, crime. And that's my videos about crimes and robberies. Anyways, this is the first of many videos that will continue to come about Eurovision 2025. So make sure to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like this video, and also comment your thoughts on the crimes and robberies that I outlined, and then talk about the ones that you thought were also present at this year's edition of the Eurovision Song Contest. Oh my God, how could I forget this? I finally reached 50,000 subscribers. So from the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful. I really, really appreciate every single one of you, even the ones that throw me hate comments. You know what? Haters are my motivators, and that just improves my videos in the algorithm. So yeah, seriously, everyone watching this video, I really, really appreciate it. As I mentioned, if you want to subscribe, feel free to do that. Anyways, I will see you guys soon. Goodbye for now. Lol, I thought I was done, but I actually have more to say. There's just a lot to dissect here. Also, yeah, change of environment. It's freaking cold inside and it is beautiful outside. And I live in Canada. It's rare for it to be this nice in May. So anyways, when it comes to the jury result, there's a lot that's shocking at the very bottom of the jury result. Poland came third to last. That's a crime like no other. That's laughable. It makes no sense. She had one of the best voices in the competition. She sang better than 90% of the bitches on that stage. The choreography was maybe some of the best choreography we saw at Eurovision this year. She was miming the violin. She ascended on those strings up to the top of the stage, and then we had that dragon in the background on the LED. It looked so epic, and I just feel like what more could have she done to do a better job with the juries? That's a really pathetic miss on the jury's part. And then also near the bottom two of the jury result was Luxembourg, which I get it. Listen, France, Luxembourg, they were not on my radar whatsoever before the competition. When the competition began and we saw those rehearsals, Luxembourg easily, for me, had top 3 staging. Objectively, I mean, yes, this is music and it's art and it's performance or whatever, nothing's objective, but I feel like if you were to poll the vast majority of people and they're not listening to the song itself, the stage performance had to be like top 5 with most people. She improved her vocals so much. She switched up the melody of that song from the national final to the final performance, elevated it to the nth degree. I thought it was so good, but I guess the juries didn't, only giving it 23 points. Televote, there's also a lot of shocks. It's hard to call anything necessarily a robbery because like some of them, I feel like robbery is like shocking, and there's a lot of things that are maybe not so shocking to some people. For me, like Malta got 8 points. It's not that shocking because televote, y'all always treat Malta like a pile of garbage on the side of the road. Denmark, listen, the vocals were absolutely incredible. The staging was decent. The song I thought was really good, but I don't think like pop numbers like that are doing well at Eurovision these days, so it's not that shocking. And so yeah, I just had to add my 2 cents on that because I feel like the jury needs to be admonished for putting Luxembourg and Poland that low. No explanation. You're in timeout.